My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is Mule Car Smokehouse, the entity deviating from stalking at the Open Family Community Library because I'm not at that library. And this is the entity that's engaging in stalking in concert with the entity using planes to follow someone around, to not just follow, which is stalking, but to monitor. This is a mentally ill entity that's engaging in a pattern which deranged. It's demonic. It's also criminal. And it's there stalking. The entity is doing a U-turn right where I'm located, okay? Targeting is already proven by this entity. This is speaking to what is establishing the entity that's going to be involuntarily committed. This is the entity that's stalking in the airline planes. And Family Community Library is way over there. So the entity is engaging in stalking, and so are the people of the state. The entity stalking by planes and helicopters is merely telling that the people of the state are stalkers. And so does the people of the state tell you the same thing while they're all under the fake sun, while they sit in buildings under a fake sun all day, engaging in what is synchronized movement and noise, and engagement and following around while a light source like a fake sun sits over a building. The people of the state have already told you that they're stalkers. And they are no ordinary stalker. They are mentally ill. And that mental illness is what conspires murder. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 5:25 a.m. This is Mule Car Smokehouse that's engaged in stalking. The Mule Car Smokehouse is engaged in criminal monitoring, and it is equally criminal when the people of the state are maintaining any method of presence, light activity, just like the government is doing. And that's why and how the people of the state who maintain establishments, who live and work and occupy relevant positioning in order to engage in surveillance. And this is why and how you are being prosecuted regardless of your business hours, because the pattern of conduct is ongoing regardless of your business hours, where the people of the state and the entity is gang stalking. And that's what they're doing on the roads and the highways, in the sky space, doing so while they are gang stalking as an entity. All right, and this is indeed Mule Car Smokehouse that is being prosecuted where I'm at, and I'm being gang stalked at the square while the entity is flying and stalking and doing U-turns at the Mule Car Smokehouse. This is P.O.C. Mule Car Smokehouse is located at 200 North Euclid Avenue. That's demonic activity, where Mule Car Smokehouse is the same venue where gang stalking is underway. The Union Pacific train is a means of what is audible activity. That's not the actual train, it's demonic. It's as demonic as demons stalking in planes and demons stalking with light and stalking on the roads and the highways and being under a fake sun and following someone around in helicopters. That's all demonic as well. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:27 a.m. All right, the mentally ill, who are the people of the state that are going to be under martial law, who are stalking in the wee hours. I'm showing the people of the state, a population is stalking in the middle of the night, 24 hours a day, stalking early in the morning, and that's what is ongoing now. Sexual assault and battery by 8YLM194, sitting in the vehicle, stalking in the path, while I'm subject to that on behalf of the government, that's stalking with planes and helicopters as well, stalking at the intersection, F Street and Euclid, while sex offenders are molesting with light, while they cooperatively engage in what is that stalking in my path, stalking with light. And this is where the entities engage in that through the sky space. So that's what I'm showing you, the clear stalking by the government that's doing so via plane. This is Exhibit A. This is P.O.C. You saw what the entity is doing at the Mule Car Smokehouse. He is stalking 8YLM194. So is Bethel Congregation. All right, so is the people of the state in the parking lot, the ARCO parking lot. They're stalking, they're monitoring on the roads and the highways. This is P.O.C. and that's Southwest Airlines. And Southwest Airlines is engaged in battery. All right, so, Southwest Airlines will be prosecuted as a sex offender, conspiring murder, and stalking with impunity. All right, this is P.O.C. This is the people of the state, and this is why they're engaging in sexual violence. This is why they're engaged in stalking on the roads and the highways. This is how stalking in the sky space, aerial surveillance, which the FAA engaging in. This is specifically Los Angeles District Office, the Los Angeles, Southern California region. The FAA is fully aware of Southwest Airlines stalking and hovering over the housing community. All right, and I'm prosecuting the state of California and the Federal Aviation. The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking, and the FAA is permitting it, and doing so in concert with stalkers that are in the dark, sitting around stalking and following me around, and they're doing it in planes, and the FAA is absolutely engaged in it and risks for it. All right, the vastness between flying, I'm doing a U-turn over the Mule Car Smokehouse, flying over the Family Community Library, stalking me in Upland, California at 1444 North Euclid Avenue, as Southwest Airlines is, and stalking flying over the parking lot at the Arco Gas on Euclid Avenue and Bethel Congregation. While I'm documenting sex offenders at the intersection, there is a rich wealth of evidence that's occurring at this intersection. Every gang stalking police officer is going to prison. Every demon documented stalking me by helicopter is going to prison. The people of the state that are engaged in the distribution of drugs, agents at this intersection is being shut down, and I'm prosecuting them. The entity that's gang stalking at the place of venues where they reside, they are engaging in what is gang stalking by place of residence, which is also a basis of prison. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. It is currently 5:57 a.m. where the fake sun, as a matter of evidence, is both present early in the morning and late in the evening. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is H Street and Euclid Avenue, where the entity is engaging in. I'm at Perez at Granada. The entity is stalking, like I showed yesterday evening. As I walk in the direction south, the plane activity remains stalking by remaining in front of me, pacing back and forth by plane. As I'm walking north, the entity is remaining behind me, stalking as I'm walking in the direction north. That's why the entity is maintaining the plane activity over Mule Car Smokehouse, over what is Bethel Congregation, the intersection F Street and Euclid, and now where I'm at H and I Street, which is a hotspot. There's a playlist. The people of the state, Grove Apartments, American Inn. The people of the state, gang stalking at 756 North Euclid Avenue. The people of the state that are stalking on H Street as I'm coming from Woodside, and I've shown that they're all gang stalking. So is the entity that provides that ongoing evidence against the people of the state who are going to be subject to martial law for conspiring my murder, stalking me with the government system with regard to engaging in psychological torture by stalking as a population in the first place. The entities engaged in this. I'm at Granada. A gang stalking law office is exposed here. The entity engaging in stalking by helicopter here, engaging in criminal summoning. The entity doing so as the fake sun is documented both morning and evening. All right. And the entity, as I document, engages in psychopathic pace. What they're doing as I'm documenting corner by corner, intersection by intersection, you're looking at the vastness of what Southwest Airlines, for example, is engaging in. The same intersection where FedEx is gang stalking at I Street, as I'm documenting yesterday, flying north of where Southwest Airlines is engaged in. This is where they were stalking yesterday, flying west over here, and the entities engaging in that conduct while they are being documented. The FAA is being federally prosecuted. I will be suing the FAA for engaging in stalking and targeting with the airline industry that has clearance to engage in this targeting. No correction, no intervention by the FAA, who is also aware about what I'm documenting. This is the entity that has conspired murder and has been caught in that criminal conspiracy, an American citizen that is enforcing their rights to not be subject to it, and the FAA is guilty by virtue of an airport, by virtue of airline companies stalking and targeting in this manner. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:06 a.m. This is Granada and Euclid. Remember yesterday, California Highway Patrol started sounding their sirens as I remind you that FedEx is gang stalking at this intersection, and I show it on video. This is the entity that is stalking on the roads and the highways, including on the sidewalks. All right, this is the P.O.C. This is the population in need of martial law at 6:07 a.m. All right, what Southwest Airlines is doing, which the FAA is liable for, is what the entity is doing. Southwest Airline plane. You see the psychopathic planes? They're doing so at Ladini and Euclid. And doing so as I'm approaching where Southwest Airlines flies over my head, where the people of the scene, they're monitoring, stalking in the path is what this is. It's a method of light activity. When they take their foot off the brake and accelerate, that's light activity. They're doing so on the street where the fake sun rises and sets over me. And they're doing so where the entity is monitoring the evidence, as I refer to 1444, where Southwest Airlines is flying over the top of my head, where there is no airport where you're taking off. Southwest Airlines and the entity, the FAA, is keeping me under surveillance through the use of aerial surveillance, which I have established to the P.O.C. The entity that is gang stalking, the entity maintaining surveillance in the U.S. does so through the airports in the states, does so through the airline industry, and does so while they are monitoring my evidence of that, while they violate, the government violates my rights, and does more. This is called impunity. As I document, they do more of it. Okay? The entity is sounding plane activity. All these demons are gang stalking. License 7KCN822. And they're doing so on the fake. This is where the fake sun is located. And this is also how you know that this neighborhood is gang stalking. The neighborhood that's going to be subject to martial law. Okay. This is P.O.C. You see that light on the trees? That's not sunlight. I'm on this street in the morning right now it's in the morning. I'm on this street at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the fake sun is over the top of my head, where the entity is stalking by planes, swarming around me. This is not a sunrise. This is the identification of the crime scene where the entity is engaging in aerial surveillance. This is that P.O.C. engaging in surveillance on the roads and the highways. That's not sunlight all the way over there. That's the P.O.C. They're driving in at monitoring. Stalking. Maintaining aerial surveillance. Stalking. This is that P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that, and it's prosecuting the people of the state at 1444 North Euclid Avenue who are stalking in concert with that government that's maintaining aerial surveillance with the blessing of the FAA, who I am criminally and civilly prosecuting. In course, in case you did not gather that already from my evidence of the city of Ontario stalking and monitoring by aerial surveillance, as I've shown every other city and county, Los Angeles, San Diego County, Orange County, the entity that's engaging in this P.O.C. as I've shown in the specific environment, where the FAA maintains surveillance, aerial surveillance, in concert with the population, the people of the state. They do that throughout the states, and they're doing it in the specific environment where a whole fake sun remains over, and they're maintaining surveillance in that psychopathic environment. P.O.C. It is currently 6:28 a.m. This is the prosecution of the people of the state, which is made possible by the mentally ill who are the U.S. government. P.O.C. While Cintas drives an impossible light activity. Driving in it, stalking, monitoring. P.O.C. All right, this is P.O.C. Let me just go ahead and get this video really quick. The entity going out of its way to engage in surveillance, license 6U-HC 585, is stalking. And this is the mental illness that's being addressed. They're stalking by being at a gas stall and making a purchase is supposed to make them appear only in the psychopath's mind. Only in the demon's mind. Oh, I'm making a purchase. I'm not stalking. That's literally how their plan works. That's literally how the system operates. They're engaged in psychopathic pacing. That's the entity stalking with noise, while a demon, a prospective immigrant also, by the way, and if it's an employee, you're talking about what is prison, but LZN 7871 has a New York license plate, engaging in what is stalking me on the grounds of the property. The property is engaged in the commercial transactions with the people of the state under the fake sun. I'm speaking to what is a RICO case. The RICO case is relevant to what is treason, while the 7-Eleven and Gulf is engaged in gang stalking with the city of UPLAND. UPLAND is gang stalking through the massive facilitation purposes of Metrolink, through the city of UPLAND that's stalking me by helicopter, stalking while the city of Ontario has lent over what is stalking by commercial planes. Upland, California is already prosecuted by virtue of me showing the FAA's engagement in that P.O.C. and the entity stalking with commercial planes, which is literally like standing out like a sore thumb amongst the P.O.C. in Upland, California. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. while the people of the state are following from place to place, which is what we have here with this third party in the silver Mercedes. All right, the employees are going to prison. This is why you're subject to, and how you're subject to poisoning. Poisoning is an act of targeting. Starting up your loud vehicle, which you're scared to exit while I'm documenting you, and they're scared of my weapon, which is my cell phone. This is a white man stalking a black woman, but it's a demon-possessed person. 91JE699 is stalking at a gas stall. This is the body of evidence. All of the P.O.C. is going to be used, and massive amounts of people are going to be subject to involuntary commitments. They're going to be subject to mental examinations. They are being prosecuted as a whole as terrorists, and this is changing the laws and what's going to happen with those that reside in California. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct while 7-Up under the fake sun in the morning, and you know that it's a fake sun and 7-Up is targeting, because the fake sun is over me in the evening, where psychopaths like this are stalking inside of the 7-Eleven, which is mentally ill behavior, and they're engaged in a sex act, molesting me with impossible light, opening and closing that door, which is impossible light activity and not even the product of sunlight. They're mentally ill, stalking with light. 24976 Victor 2, just like that, while the entity is stalking. And the third party, 5JKF629, is engaged in that sex act. All right, that's the entity that's monitoring. The mentally ill are those who are monitoring. The mentally ill are those that are obsessing over me by helicopter, which is what I documented last night, for an hour while I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library, and then following me. This is what they're doing. And under the fake sun, this is what the establishments are doing. It's pathetic, impossible light activity. The clear evidence of mental instability. They're all wearing their dysfunction, their incompetence on the outside. Okay, the entity's engaging in what is keeping a fake sun over this same address in the evening when I'm inside of the store and I'm subject to sexual assault and battery, where psychopaths are obsessively stalking. Just like the demons that are in helicopter, they have the same sick mindset, obsessively stalking. License 5N, Impossible Light. License 5N ZF782, you're talking about clinical diagnosis through a prosecution. Not only is this not the sun, when you're driving on the street, sunlight is not sweeping across, they're demons. These non-humans are non-winners in a criminal case, and these non-humans who are non-winners are going to be diagnosed. They're going to be committed, and they are stalking by helicopter. This is the entity that was stalking last night and doing so by helicopter, as I captured the second video as I go to the Ontario Town Square, and that demon engaged in what is ongoing psychotic stalking, which is what the entity, these are all roaches. These are demons. This is surveillance. This is stalking. And it is in in conformity to the FAA's criminal pattern of conduct, stalking with aerial surveillance, provided by a whole airline industry. Corporations that are the face of the government engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder, targeting people, stalking them, gang stalking them, psychologically torturing them. All right, this is that P.O.C. And the entity's doing so. This is Euclid Avenue. The fake sun is over me at the same exact address where 7-Up is going to be prosecuted. 7-Up is showing you what every single last business in California is engaging in and what the businesses online, corporations online are engaging in. It is surveillance, and surveillance is underway on the internet as well. This is P.O.C. While you want to incorporate businesses, while you seek to engage in surveillance behind the guise of a company name, that company is being prosecuted as a terrorist, as a sex offender. All right, and is engaged in what is psychological torture, which shall be recognized because it is another basis for recovery. And it is that which is designed to literally destroy that company's existence. That's by design. The entity is gang stalking at 7:08 a.m. at what is Euclid Avenue, 9th Street in Euclid, P.O.C. 8 Mary 51076 is an enemy of this country, likely also a prospective immigrant, and that's also why you are not crying for them when them and their children and their extended family are being deported, okay? Whether or not they came across the border to have kids, they're getting shipped out of here. This is P.O.C. That's audible activity. That's malicious engagement in the pattern of conduct by a psychopath that's under a fake sun. Stalking. P.O.C. It is currently 7:08 a.m. This is the entity that couldn't stop stalking last night by helicopter. Doing so when I don't even care. That's how pathetic, that's how psychotic, that's how obsessed. This is obsession as you are understanding what is the pattern of conduct. The entity of demons that are obsessively stalking someone. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Can you hear the amplified plane activity? The entity is engaged in surveillance with the people on the roads and the highways. Stalking with light is what you see outside of the Carnegie Library. That's a demon, by the way. You are able to identify them by their engagement in that pattern of conduct and the identification of targeting, which is occurring in the environment where the fake sun is present. Crossing path, that's stalking. 8ZWG902 with the turn signal on, that's a demon monitoring with light activity. Under the fake sun is the scientific evidence to prosecute a third party for conspiracy to murder, stalking with the government, and doing so while they are engaged in federal stalking, criminal surveillance. All right, and this is pursuant to what is a government system. The entity has the fake sun over me while I'm inside of the Up in Public Library at 10 o'clock in the morning. The entity, while I was in there yesterday afternoon, I'm capturing the fake sun that is still over this roof while you are looking at the light source over the top of my head, and the entity is maintaining the people of the state, demons pacing all around me in a building, which is psychotic, while the fake sun that is now over the building at 7:13 a.m. is remaining over while I am here in the evening, including upon my exit when I'm walking down the same street, which is how you know that this is a stalker. And it's the same thing when it's an Upland police vehicle, when it's an American Medical Response vehicle, when it's San Bernardino County Fire. License 9P.O.X.462. This is the pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct is exposing mental illness, threats to national security, necessitating what is martial law to deal with it. 9CYB 640 to contain it, to neutralize it. Impossible light is scanning all across the wall while that third party whose license plate I read is crossing path, okay? The entities, that's a white van. The same pattern of conduct is underway nonetheless. The entities engaging in what is scanning light activity while you're driving, that's not the product of, this is one aspect of the analysis, okay? Then you have a whole other. While they are in the environment, they are not ignorantly in the environment or passively in the environment. Those are demons, and this is psychopathic pacing. The context is the fake sun. They're psychopaths and they're pacing all around. It appears as traffic in the state of California that's practicing witchcraft, engaging in what is a program of psychological torture, ongoing incessant surveillance. Stalkers fill the state of California, and they maintain massive, successful corporations, okay, that are engaging in surveillance. The mentally ill and the mentally ill practices of these businesses that are engaging in that, and it is shown through what is a fake sun. That is, even as I'm documenting, yesterday, San Bernardino County Fire that has engaged in criminal summoning, the entity that's at 9:39 a.m. stalking by helicopter. It is 7:15 a.m. right now, and the entity's maintaining that plane activity. You're talking about 2 hours later, the sun's not going to be over the same building. That's what I have on video yesterday. But you know that while I'm inside of this library, inside, sitting beside this first window, the entity has the fake sun over the building where the entity is stalking by helicopter at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You could put these this video, plus the video yesterday stalking by helicopter at 9:38 a.m., plus my video evidence of the entity stalking me on the inside while the government is stalking by helicopter, and this fake sun is still remaining over this, literally the same size over the top of my head in this building. And that's the entity that's prosecuted. That prosecutes, by the way, the whole state. Because where is the sun throughout the rest of the state? How is it, in other words, at any other location where I am showing you that? How am I the only person who is also the one that is subject to terrorism and harassment and threats and defamation, the only person that's noticing this? How come NASA hasn't given some massive announcement about it? Why do you have fables out here talking about things like climate change, which is, again, the ongoing illusions, the ongoing fables of the demon-possessed that are monitoring you under a fake sun? And even their illusions, their fables do not address an idle light source. Climate control, climate change does not address what I have shown, the fake sun sit still. That's not what it addresses. It's addressing severity of the temperature, not that there's necessarily more than one sun. Okay? And I want to be clear, pollution is not creating multiple suns in the sky. Okay, this is the P.O.C. These are the sex offenders of the Upland Unified School District that are engaged in vagina monitoring. Pay attention. The bathroom that I'm under surveillance inside of, Upland Public Library, is in relevant position, monitoring now, and they're monitoring while my vagina is exposed and the entity stalking my planes and helicopters and amplifying that audible activity, while they want to appear on the surface as one that's interested in the literacy and the development of children. Oh, they're invested in the development of children, the development of their diseased mindset, teaching them terrorism and their genitalia. Okay, sex offenders that are working for the Upland gang stalking. Gang stalking is a sex offense. Upland Unified School District is a gang stalker. And scientific evidence shows that, proves it. This is P.O.C. This is a gang stalker crossing path. They're monitoring with all of those while Upland Unified comes outside showing you what they're all doing, monitoring on the inside of the venues. P.O.C. During and outside of business hours. That's what Mule Car Smokehouse is doing while the airport FAA is maintaining plane activity over me. 9WSW283 is a stalker that'll be outside of that Mule Car Smokehouse stalking with light activity. That's why you're being prosecuted, and it's not premised upon your being present during business hours. You are present as an entity at all places when you are gang stalking. This is the P.O.C. This is the fake sun, so that you are aware that Upland Unified School District is engaged in criminal activity, which is incongruent with having anything to do with children and the education of children, having access to children, while they are documented sex offenders. Because that's what you are as a gay, that's what you are as a vagina monitor. This is P.O.C. This is criminal summoning. When I'm inside at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the same address, this is understanding targeting. The fake sun that's remaining over the Upland Public Library, and a psychopath is sounding sirens. It's audible activity. All right, the mentally ill that are engaging in surveillance and making money off of it, that's American medical response that is stalking, crossing path under the fake sun, stalking in a psychopathic manner. As psychopathic as stalking at a gas stall, as psychopathic as trying to represent yourself as one thing when you are another, and you are another with a whole group of others that are engaging in that unpersuasive act. That's psychopathic while you are engaging in what is stalking using expensive means such as an emergency vehicle. That's what the United States is engaged in. That's what the state of California is engaged in. That's what the city of Upland, San Bernardino County is engaged in. And it is a basis, a substantial, unprecedented basis to defund it. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that. And American Medical Response is, they are losing. You're talking about stalking in Los Angeles County and San Bernardino County, I'll put it that way. I've been documenting American Medical Response targeting. They have their own playlist with regard to stalking. And you are severely unstable and unfit to be in any aspect of the medical profession when you are hiding behind the letters EMT and all you're doing is monitoring vagina. And you're a psychopath engaging in psychopathic behavior, pacing all around me, sounding sirens all day long, all day long. And you're so short-sighted, so ignorant, so obsessed that you do so with the government that presents evidence against you. The sirens sound while the demons cross path in the sky space. What's the other way you engage in that? The helicopter flying over the top of my head, flying in circles. That's the other way you engage in that. That's the teamwork of the demons stalking on the roads and the highways, which is another means of identifying a prosecution of a gang stalker, a terrorist, a sex offender like AMR, the corporation, and the people of the state that are going to be subject to involuntary commitments, mental evaluations for engaging in this mentally deranged system. This is the P.O.C. The mental illness is shared by those that are stalking in the sky space. The mental illness is shared by those that are sitting and maintaining in presence inside of a building and in the bathroom in that building where this fake sun is still present. My video that's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the entity has this fake sun over the roof of this building, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the entity is stalking me, monitoring my physical movements, engaged in what is monitoring my vagina as well, while they are obsessively stalking me. And stalking is occurring at any movement, the sound of sirens, all right? At the moment that I flick my hair, the moment that I turn around, the moment that I sit down, the moment that I stand up, all right, the entity, the moment that I turn my phone on or off, the moment that I download or upload something, the entity is stalking in the path. Psychopathic pacing by a population of stalkers, and that which is occurring with audible activity. And it is under the guise of what is the government engaging in what is showing how mentally deranged they are, unfit they are to have the positions that they have, and they don't have them. I'm documenting, and this is foretelling what is the embarrassing and humiliating prosecution and removal from positions that the demon possessed are currently holding, seizing. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:26 a.m. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 8 hours from now is the video that I will show where this fake sun is at the same exact location over Upland Public Library, which is the prosecution of the demons that are monitoring with the people that stayed at the Upland. Where the fake sun remains over you, that city hall is not going to remain in business, because that's what it is. This is a corrupt business, and Upland City Hall is being put out of business, and it's also going to be drained of it, defunded, in other words. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:27 a.m. All right, that's criminal summoning at 9:22 a.m. while the video evidence for August 18, 2026, the videos are all being uploaded to Google Drive, where the city of Upland is maintaining criminal surveillance in concert with the demons, the state actors, the co-conspirators of murder that are working at and gang stalking at the Upland City Hall at 460 North Euclid Avenue. And I am also capturing the fake sun. This is mental illness that's also being simultaneously documented, while an entity that is engaged in deranged and unhinged and sexually perverted and criminal activity is underway under the fake sun. 9:23 a.m. is the evidence of it. You will see that right now, and you will also see the screenshot regarding what I'm doing on my phone, where the entity is proven to be stalking me under this fake sun, which is remaining in Upland, California, speaking to the statewide pattern of conduct, which is why I am prosecuting Upland while I'm showing that Ontario is targeting. I'm prosecuting Ontario while I'm showing that Upland is targeting. The entity is keeping this fake sun over the Upland Public Library, where the entity that's stalking by sirens is engaged in the sex offense of genitalia surveillance. They're engaging in what is federal stalking, which is also, as I've shown, a sex offense. The entity is engaged in surveillance on my device, and psychopaths engage in manifesting as demons, engage in what is showing hostility as they are mentally ill, and engage in what is creating noise in whatever manner they have. Be it helicopters, that's the government engaging in the unabated program of psychological torture. Be it utilizing sirens that are not indicative of an emergency. It's indicative of criminal activity, of an absurdly psychotic method, while they're monitoring and physically stalking me and doing so in these emergency vehicles. This is at Arrow and Euclid Avenue, the facilitating venue where the fake sun is rising and setting under all circumstances. The entity is engaged in the P.O.C. This is, in other words, already proven, and I'm documenting what I'm doing while the entity is engaged in that. This is speaking to impunity by the Upland City Hall that has not been engaged and is not, under any circumstances, any legitimate function of the city or the state. They are engaged in criminal surveillance. That's the purpose of it, and it is the conclusive evidence of public corruption. In other words, the feds can literally come raid, and the Upland City Hall has every reason to be fearful of a raid at any time. But I'm prosecuting and I'm exposing what is the Upland City Hall, that is the municipality that is gang stalking with the people of the state, and they're doing so through the employment that is provided through the employees of the Upland City Hall, the people of the state that are gang stalking, like FedEx, UPS, Amazon Prime, that engage in gang stalking with the local government that's engaged in criminal surveillance at the Upland City Hall that is under what is the evidence of that, the evidence of a mentally ill population, a corrupt government body, and a population of sex offenders that are engaging in this system, conspiring murder. Okay, that's what's behind the entity sounding sirens under the fake sun as I'm uploading evidence that tends to prosecute them. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:25 a.m. and you will see that light source, the same light source that's over me at this same address, which is on video at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at this same exact location inside of the Upland Public Library. This is P.O.C. This is evidence that's removing any official that's engaged in criminal surveillance with the FAA, where the entity is maintaining plain activity, aerial surveillance here, where the entity is engaged in public corruption, criminal activity with the population, the people of the state, doing so while you are mentally ill, stalking, and what are the means of surveillance, the fire department, the police department, and the ambulance services that are engaged in surveillance. That's merely, in other words, just the way in which surveillance is appearing. I'm going to show you psychopathic pacing. You will see the demon studying his device. You'll see the demon walking in the Upland City Hall. Those demons are doing so under the fake sun. These are the mentally ill that are stalking and incorporating the business of Staples in doing so. Staples is the third party that's engaged in that. Staples is not a stranger to being documented engaged in gang stalking me. And Staples is acting with the city of Upland. This is P.O.C. at 9:26 a.m. at the Upland City Hall, the Upland Public Library, 460 North Euclid Avenue. P.O.C. This is the P.O.C. And this is impossible light activity. The door closure are demons that are monitoring. I'm exposing mental illness and criminal activity. The entity is engaged in what is stalking, surveillance, while the entity military is flying over and impossible light is moving on the wall. This is P.O.C. Let me let you see that again. Here is the fake sun here. This demon is monitoring, stalking with audible activity. This is engineer light appearing underneath the coverage structure on the inside of the building, and the entity has impossible light moving across the wall. Okay, that's the P.O.C. Hello. This is the mayor's office, is it? Is this where the mayor's located? The city hall? Yes. Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you. Where they are indeed monitoring. This is P.O.C. The impossible light activity. The fake sun is over the building, and this is stalking, psychopathic pacing inside of the mayor's office. Everyone's need for the bathroom is the psychopathic pacing coming from right here. This is the mayor's office. This is the P.O.C. The mayor is a demon. The mayor is a defendant. Okay? And the mayor is over what are gang stalkers that are employed by the city, where I'm subject to stalking by helicopters. And the entities engaged in this pattern of chronic pacing in and out of the building, stalking with impossible light. This is the signature of that P.O.C. And coming to the nearest way of crossing my path, outside of coming in and out through the entrance, is the male restroom, where impossible light that you just saw is on the building. This is impossible. It is 10 o'clock in the morning. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me at the Ovid Family Community Library, number one. Number two, the entity is engaged in surveillance via aerial surveillance, number two. The entity is engaged in the hallmark of stalking by helicopter, which is relevant to that aerial surveillance. Number three, the entity has the fake sun here over me while I'm remaining at this venue upon my exit in the evening after 6 and 7 p.m. And number four, there is no vantage point where the fake sun, which is already proven, is creating light activity underneath the structure on the inside of the building and then vacillating on the wall here. Okay, where they are stalking in the path by going into the male restroom, which is the perverted sex offense of bathroom monitoring. Going in the bathroom, engaging in any means of stalking someone is psychotic. Engaging what is genitalia surveillance of that person, of that targeted individual. Crossing path. P.O.C. It is currently 10:03 a.m. The Upland City Hall is a sex offender. They're maintaining surveillance in the private spaces in violation of current laws. They're engaged in what is federal stalking and furtherance of murder. That ongoing gang stalking system is underway, which is why the entity is stalking me by helicopter right here, which is also on the record. Just going on the inside is confirmation. That's why you have the demonic light activity, the demonic light source, the demonic behavior of demons that are stalking in the face of evidence now, no longer engaging in anything that even looks like a targeted individual is suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, which is how they criminally defame you. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:04 a.m. Do you work for the city of Ontario? Oh, I'm sorry, not Ontario, of Upland?
Yeah.
Do you know when they have their city hall meetings?
They're on break right now. It'll start again in September. It's on the website.
I was looking on the website, but I didn't know where. Would it be under the, well, I don't know where you find meetings for the Upland City Hall in particular. But maybe I can just Google it? But you do publish them online, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
because outside of...
Yeah, the best way to look at the meetings, but I think it's the first and the third Monday of every month.
Monday or Tuesday? That's what I was. Oh, okay. Ontario does Tuesdays. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. I can try to Google that. Have a good day.
You too.
Alrighty. That is P.O.C. This is the same positioning that the entity has with its fake son. You'll see it while the entity is openly engaging in what is conspicuous surveillance is psychopathic. And it's highly malicious, and it's in furtherance of murder and psychological torture, and that is the Upland City Hall engaging in that while she's monitoring vagina, and third parties are pacing in the background. You'll see two demons that are running alongside. They're doing so while they're monitoring what it is that the entity is keeping under surveillance. My device and the evidence that I'm capturing by my device, which the entity is violating the law and keeping it under surveillance and engaging in what is even more violations of the law because it's pursuant to a criminal case against that government. That government that's testifying against all the employees of the Upland Public Library. The city of Upland that is gang stalking inside of the mayor's office, doing so under that fake son and the employees engaging in terrorism. This is literally the government engaging in domestic terrorism, the direct opposite of the role that the local government, the municipality is supposed to serve. And that's why I'm asking her a question that I already know the answer to. This is criminal presence activity creation while the military is stalking me with jets and planes and under that fake sun. It is currently, by the way, it is 10:14 a.m. and at that same Civic Center location, excuse me, the Veteran Center Monument area, the entity has a light source upon my exit, which is what I'm documenting on a daily basis. So the level of malice that's exhibited by those that are working at the city hall, it's not a matter of intelligence. All they are doing is they're psychotic, they're obsessed. So you're talking about what's already a stalker, what's mentally ill, what is also ignorant. They have no concept regarding the laws. The entity is engaged in murdering people moreover. So you have also a delusion where, oh, this is at this joint. Nobody over here is getting sacrificed. That's not happening. The entity has sacrificed itself. But the average unintelligent criminal that is gang stalking, that works for the local government, that is, for example, an unread, illiterate, whether they're homeless or whether they live in a two-story house in Chino Hills, equally illiterate, equally a bum mentality, equally one that's engaged in what is stalking and monitoring someone else to steal from them while they seek to misrepresent their identity, their purpose, their role, their status, their identity. That's what I mean by bum mentality. The entity, your bum mentality is not demonstrated by what it is that you buy, because people are engaging in gay sex rituals to go by Fendi. Does that make you a winner? No, it does not. It makes you a homosexual, and it makes you a prostitute. You engage in transactions of sexual activity in order to acquire things, materials. That's literally what prostitutes do. The entities engage in that, but doesn't want you to know that they're into prostitution. This is bum mentality conduct. This is what demons engage in while they're gang stalking at every level. The malice exhibited by Upland Public Library, yes, and Upland City Hall employees is speaking to the entity that is not intelligent. They're merely corrupt. There is no intellect. If they had a level of intellect, they would not put themselves square within the body of evidence where a court is able to, they don't even have to investigate and see who's this person and who was that. They know exactly who is and who is doing what, as that matter of public corruption is in plain view. And conspicuous surveillance is not evidence that you're not gang stalking, that you don't know who the target individual is. These things are already established. So now we're honing in on the entity that's conspiring murder, and psychological torture is what is behind conspicuous surveillance. Mental illness is what is behind conspicuous surveillance while you're being documented, and you do not have a defense in court. And you're talking about what is ripe for assessment by competent and informed medical professionals that are not a part of the system of surveillance. This is the P.O.C., that is Upland City Hall, engaging in psychological torture, engaging in the perpetual sex offense, engaging in what is stalking, surrounding. That's very threatening conduct. Upland City Hall employee, which is representing the entity, is engaging in surrounding me, making sure that someone is present at the center, crossing my path. And the evidence is that fake sun that moves from the City Hall entrance to the Upland Public Library entrance. And as I stand in front of her talking to a co-conspirator intending to harm me, I'm doing that for purposes of this investigation, and also to expose the way that Satan operates and the way that the gang stalking system operates, and also to show you that there is no status, there's no race, there is no hierarchy, there's no income bracket, there is no industry with regard to any exception of the pattern of conduct. These are demons. Okay, and there is no respecter of persons, not under the law and not before Christ Jesus. There is no respecter of persons. And I've shown you that that is reflected in this pattern of conduct that the entity is engaging in. The entity at the same Veterans Center is stalking me by helicopter. And this fool, this lesbian, that is an employee of the Upland City Hall, is in that same environment, under the same exact circumstances, where the sun is going to be there 7 hours from now. And that is the entity that's engaged in that. That's speaking to obsession. That's speaking to delusion. That's speaking to malice. All right, that's speaking to unhinged and psychopathic behavior. Understand how that is seeking to cloak itself, disguise itself. And then when you're looking at the pattern of conduct, it is not so disguised at all. It's right in front of your face. Ready? This is the P.O.C. The entity is monitoring. I'm inside of the Upland Public Library, where the sex offenders that are family units for the illusion maintained by the U.S. government is gang stalking inside of a library, and the entity is engaging in what is the P.O.C. They're not reading, and they certainly aren't reading the signs that this system has long been over, and you have what is, for the benefit of the public, a lot of demons that have admitted guilt. That all they're doing is admitting guilt, and this is a very much matter of literally just cleaning the streets in California, because the gang stalkers have put themselves in the path in order to be prosecuted seamlessly, very easily. All right, while the evidence is established and the entity thought that this was a contest behind who can act better, all of the gang members or the targeted individual, and all of the demons lose, every single last one of them. This is P.O.C. It is currently at the Upland Public Library. It's 10:19 a.m. Alrighty, here is the entity stalking by plane, flying the moment of my exit. This is speaking to not just stalking under the fake sun, but you're detailing. You're going through and analyzing what the government, what the entity, what the people of the state must be doing in order to have this pattern. First of all, I'm documenting the Upland City Hall this morning. Okay, 10 o'clock in the morning, and an employee of the Upland City Hall, that's the government that's gang stalking me. While, like I described, the government is following me, stalking me by planes, and you are gang stalking me conspicuously, which is a threat to my life. These two videos are sufficient to have the office, the Upland City Hall. This is unseating those gang stalkers. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. Moreover, while I am inside, walking outside, fake sun is in alignment to my face. While I'm inside of the building, the fake sun is not in alignment to the entrance door. If it was, then it wouldn't be over the roof, where I'm able to capture it through the ceiling. And the entity has that asininity of light activity that's all over the walls and the ceiling and the floor. Okay, this entity, in other words, is tracking my steps as I'm moving inside of the building, moving outside of the exit. And so are the people of the state who are stalking inside of a building. They're following a person around, all together, surrounding. And they do so as psychopaths, making sure that they keep position while their kids are sitting with them, while they're pushing strollers and staring at books and going to the laptop. Oh, I have to go check out a book the moment that I get up. This is the entity that's engaged in that synchronized, ongoing stalking behavior, which is psychotic. And it is captured within the evidence of the fake sun in Upland, California, at the Veterans Monument between the Upland City Hall and the Upland Public Library. It is currently 6:33 p.m. And as my images show, the employees are here, including Adam Tuckerman. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that. You are going to prison for what I'm documenting. You're going to prison for this. You're not, it's insufficient. This is ongoing criminal activity with the military. This is in furtherance of murder. This is a program of psychological torture. This is pursuant to kidnapping. Very serious criminal activity that is on behalf of a public entity. The entity is going to prison for this. And they are in a building engaged in mentally ill behavior, which includes this: pacing all day long under a fake sun. She's stalking. That's all they're doing, is stalking. If it's a grocery store, they're stalking and they're going in and buying food. If it's a gas station, they're stalking, standing at the gas stall, or just stalking what they're present at whatever venue. If there is nothing there, they are stalking, sitting in the middle of the street with their headlights on. This is the entity that's gang stalking, and it's psychotic. And they are stalking on the roads and the highways. It is currently 6:34 p.m. This is P.O.C. 71423P as in Paul 2, 71423 Paul 2. Stalking at 7th Street and Euclid Avenue. As you can see in the images, it's 6:59 p.m. and the fake sun is over me, just like it is in the morning, okay? And the morning being during the 6 a.m., 7 a.m. hour. So this is a 12-hour difference with regard to the duration of time, speaking to surveillance by the city of Upland, and I document and target the entity with that evidence as I go from facilitating venues such as the intersection of North Euclid Avenue and 7th Street in Upland. This is P.O.C. All right, this is monitoring with the juvenile, the people of the state. This is prison. License plate. License 9ZIK697. License 9PYU841. License AWHV516. License 9 Charlie Thomas Sam 375 at 1258 North Euclid Avenue. You'll see this little boy who's a demon engaged in stalking an adult, sexually violating an adult, conspiring the murder of an adult person in concert with the government at 1258 North Euclid Avenue under the fake sun. The people of the state are going to federal prison. The entity is gang stalking while you see the entity maintaining the fake sun on the same Euclid Avenue that it is in the morning, in the afternoon, and this is the evening. This is P.O.C. It's 7:15 p.m. All right, I want to get UPS stalking flying over Euclid Avenue. And yesterday when I'm coming from the Giant Value Dollar Store, and I'm talking about how the gang members are congregated outside of the store and the entity committing sexual assault and battery through the sex offenders who are stalking on the roads and the highways, the people of the state that are the sex offender. They're engaging in surveillance throughout the city. The entity flies over Raybon, okay? UPS is the one that's flying over right here. And while I stayed at this bus stop, UPS was engaging in all manner of U-turns, engaging over Euclid Avenue, flying over the storefronts, psychopathic pacing over not just UPS, but all of the airlines. The entity is stalking me while I'm walking what is south on Euclid Avenue, and the entity is doing so with the people of the state at Bethel Congregation. And this is the irreconcilable evidence. There's nothing from the airport. And where else is UPS going to state that they are taking off from? Oh, well, we're just going on a tour. They're maintaining ongoing tours throughout the city. This is that P.O.C. That's FedEx. That's engaging in the same pattern of conduct. The entity is admittedly engaging in stalking with the people of the state. 9SZC444 is not waiting for me. This is stalking while the entity is engaged. I want you to see that. That's concerted activity. LADIN5. They know who I am. They're monitoring. That's FedEx that's flying over the street. Remember, FedEx is stalking me while I'm at I Street in Euclid yesterday. FedEx does not have any path. FedEx is not headed anywhere. There's nobody on that plane. There's no packages that they're delivering while they're stalking in this manner while they are caught. Remember, I caught them. When they get caught, psychopaths that engage in getting caught, they are suicidal. These are demons that are practicing witchcraft. They've taken a blood oath, in other words. So that is to the death. During their own humiliation ritual, they are engaging in the criminal activity in the face of the world. And it's not just humiliating, it's incriminating. And FedEx and UPS are going to compensate in ways in which federal law has never before contemplated with regard to stalking. And this is also relevant to the demons flying and stalking in these planes being committed. And so will the people of the state. 8 UNA 757, stalking with the people of the state. Okay? And so are all the business establishments. And the entities engaging in this on the street, Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun rises and sets. UPS isn't headed anywhere. UPS is a stalker. FedEx, as you clearly see, they're not headed anywhere. They're stalking. And while I embarrass them, flying in another plane is not changing the subject. It's underscoring the point. This is an entity that's highly unintelligent, okay? This is an entity that's engaging in what is providing evidence that's used to prosecute throughout the country, to prosecute at a federal level universally while they're engaging in that P.O.C. This is at Bethel Congregation. There is no reconciling what I'm documenting. UPS, like I'm stating, nor is FedEx, nor is any other airline that I have stalking on Euclid Avenue day in and day out in the specific environment. You're not coming from the airport. You're not coming from the airport flying anywhere over here, and that is in a court case irreconcilable. I am speaking to what is the forecast, and the defendants who are the airline industry. You are losing in the case that I am putting on the internet, and this is your notice because you're engaging in surveillance. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:41 p.m. Right, sexual assault and battery by Chevron in concert with 6LPE291. This is P.O.C. And it's a federal RICO case while a sex offender is engaging in the pattern of conduct. I want you to see the logo that's being prosecuted while gang stalking with light, which is mentally ill, and this is the government maintaining light activity. The entity that's stalking by commercial plane is doing so with the people, all right? And that's a sex offense committed by the company as well. This is, again, the same employee who's subject to deportation, 7 Charlie, Victor Charlie, 030, stalking together, P.O.C. Okay, when I'm documenting the entity gang stalking at Giant Value Dollar, the gang members that are congregating outside of the store, this is the behavior that I'm talking about. What you will observe in my documentation last night is the fake moon is over Giant Dollar, where the entity is established as stalking by planes and helicopters and the fakes and during the day. Same with regard to the analysis. Chevron, that is gang stalking with the people of the state who are coming on the grounds. Prosecution of Chevron is already secured under the law, okay? Engineer Light, there's stalking that tells on them. If the employees inside of the store, German is gang stalking. Okay, this is the P.O.C. German is engaged in relevant positioning, and the entity is engaged in sexual assault and battery. 8DCF212, and the entity is crossing paths while that light activity is underway. This is how they're monitoring with the demon, the fake moon, and the corporation is being prosecuted as a sex offender. Okay, this is a lesbian. She's stalking in the path with light and looks like she's monitoring with minors who are also sex offenders, gang stalking, and she is waiting to touch on a woman. This is the mindset, the predatory behavior of lesbians who are demon possessed, gang stalking and furtherance of murder, okay? The entity, the airline industry, the gang stalking corporations such as Chevron and ARC's monitoring right now while I'm at Chevron across the street. Those are demons' passivity. You already know the light activity that's on the wall creating multiple shadows. That's what they're aiming. While this demon with the tacky hairstyle, the crochet blonde braids where she's nappy and bald-headed is engaged in gang stalking me. This is the entity that's doing so. Drones in the sky space, commercial airline planes in the sky space. There are takeoffs over here. This is blatant stalking. This is the prosecution of that entity. And the entity is engaged in what is keeping a fake sun all morning, all afternoon, into the evening. All of that is already documented here, showing you the mentally ill that are stalking with light. This is P.O.C. This is the entity surrounded by lesbians all the time that are engaged in psychotic behavior, obsession with me that they're embarrassed about, so they gang stalk me with their back to me while they're stalking with light, stalking in the path, and stalking on behalf of the government. This is P.O.C. This is a sex crime. A group sex act committed by the entity, the psychopaths that are gang stalking. Child in the car. License 8XTU622. License 8CEY505. All right, and again, the lesbian's license plate is 8XYM904. This is P.O.C. and license 8LDF550. This is P.O.C. 8KLR297. And as you'll see, as I begin documenting, the demons start stalking by planes. That's how you know that they're third parties stalking on behalf of the government. The government. That's not too bright. They don't have a strategy. They're always telling on the people. If you were trying to avoid being prosecuted, trying to stop me from being able to connect the dots, the entity fails in that. Stalking all the way down Euclid Avenue again on another night. This is 9CMY386. Every means of touching, including in the specific environment where you have engineer light, you're being prosecuted as a sex offender. All right, that's a sex offense committed by Chevron. It's psychological torture. It's sexual assault and battery via engineered light. That's what I'm referring to. And it is a prosecution for corporations engaged in the criminal conspiracy to murder you. This is the pattern of conduct. These are the gang members congregating outside of the venues. They're stalking with the businesses. P.O.C. All right, Sarah's Regis Group, sexual assault and battery, 8LKN140. P.O.C. This is stalking in the path. This is what they do with the fake sun that I've captured over this parking garage and the engineer light that I've captured filling this garage. This is the sex offender. And Sarah's Regis Group, you're being prosecuted. You're being prosecuted as a sex offender. The fake moon is now over the parking garage. License 1564957 is the city of Ontario. That's a sex offender. Using the resources, that's the prosecution of the employees of the city, the municipality that's conspiring my murder with the government that's stalking me by planes, with the government that's stalking me as a police department, engaging in kidnapping as well, doing so in the specific environment. That's no ordinary stalker. Not only is it the municipality, not only is it the people of the state that are tracking my steps, stalking with light, monitoring, they're doing so as demons. That's not the natural environment. These are demons. And the demons fill the city of Ontario, the city of Ontario that's being defunded. P.O.C. License MAKUPLX. I want to be clear, Sarah's Regis, this is your notice. You're being prosecuted as a sex offender, a corporation, and as a terrorist. And you're engaged in sexual violence in furtherance of murder and the unabated program of psychological torture that you are engaging in by virtue of the establishment and the government, the people of the state, this system that you are inevitably engaging in and facilitating and profiting from. This is the P.O.C. You're looking at the same pattern. The demons that are gang stalking with the businesses. And you are being prosecuted as that corporate entity. P.O.C. It is currently 8:04 p.m. where sex offenders are stalking me obsessively. Sex offenders that are lesbians. Sex offenders that are both genders, sex offenders that are the municipality. Paul Leon, that's a sex offender being prosecuted. Financing gang stalking. You're being removed from office, sir. You are being removed from office. I've been documenting these gang stalkers that are being paid by the city for years. You are gang stalking me. You are being prosecuted for conspiring my murder. This is P.O.C. All right, here's a picture of my stalker, the Ontario police. They are going to prison, and they're aware of that. That's why they're engaging in stalking. This is the P.O.C. The pattern. This is where the fake moon follows me here, in the same way that police follow me, just like my prosecution of the stalkers, the Upland police, the same pattern of conduct. You all talking because this is where the evidence of the fake sun rising and setting over me at this location. You also know that they're stalking because this is where the military and that same department are stalking me on an ongoing basis, including last night by helicopter for an hour right here, and then follow me to the town square. You also know that they're stalking because the Ontario International Airport maintains no flights that are also not even occurring here where they are targeting, just like the Ontario Police, but also they're not taking any flights to a destination, doing U-turns over Euclid Avenue like FedEx did, and hovering over what is Bethel Congregation, where I'm located at F Street in Euclid, where that airport is stalking, just like that department is. That's the P.O.C. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct while you're looking at what is my shadow. Here's my shadow up right on the wall. Here's another shadow you see rising up, right? This is my shadow that's over here behind impossible light activity while you see stalkers. They're monitoring and stalking department as well. The vagina monitors that are on hand, the people of the state, gang stalking, demons. This is the Open Family Community Library, where that same department that is stalking engaged in what is criminal. That's not just an unlawful expulsion from the Open Family Community Library on March 3rd, 2026. That was discrimination with the intent to obstruct justice while you are literally gang stalking at the same time by giving me the piece of paper, by being under the fake sun with Southwest Airlines, where that entity is gang stalking and giving me that paper, making up information as to why you were engaging in what is targeting me through expulsion from the library, which is, again, fictitious authority exercised by a municipality that's gang stalking targeting. That same department engaged in that. They don't even have authority in their stalkers. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 8:37 p.m. That's the entity of what is the evidence of what has never been proven. A police department is stalking. They are my stalker. And because of that, they are being disbanded. That's not a compliment. That's a basis for prosecution for treason, conspiring my murder with the U.S. government, and engaging in what is criminal activity as opposed to law enforcement, which is an unlawful threat to my life. It's so threatening that you are going to be defunded altogether. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:38 p.m.